Right. We are now looking at this British North Borneo War Memorial. Now, this war memorial originally was in fact located along the Bond Street. Yeah, in those days it was known as Bond Street, and now it's Gaya Street. Yeah, so it was in 1923. It was erected there in remembrance of 13 soldiers out of 79 who went to enlist, and they enlisted themselves to fight in the First World War for Great Britain. They never came back. So that was the reason why British North Borneo Chartered Company, they actually erected this structure right there in the center of Bond Street in remembrance of these 13 soldiers. Yeah, that was in 1923. And then later on, during the Second World War, what happened was that this structure was in fact partly damaged at the top. Yeah, but it was not destroyed completely, partly damaged. So it was repaired as well, right? Then later on, our municipal council, that is Kota Kinabalu Municipal Council, decided to relocate it to this place here in a nice little park called City Park, because it's nicer to have this memorial at a place like this. That's why it was relocated here. Yeah. So in fact, this particular war memorial has, you can say, is useful in the sense that because apart from the plaque with the 13 names of the soldiers, right, they also have another 2 plaques that was put up there on this memorial. Let's go and have a look now. This is an original plaque of bronze. Yeah, it was actually been, you can see already, it was actually presented by the Return Services League of Australia. It was during the Second World War. There are some Australians actually, they died here. Yeah, they died here. Because they were the one who came here to liberate us. But before the liberation, right, there were some prisoner of war were sent over from Singapore by the Japanese to come over here so that they will have to work as hard labor, forced labor, not hard labor, but forced labor, to build what you call an airport, especially in Sabah. So they have this prisoner of war camp there. Now, towards the end of the war, that is in the early 1945, there were actually 1,066 of them were forced to go through a death march, 3 death marches. So those 3 death marches, out of the 1,066 of them, only 6 stay alive. They stay alive was because they actually escaped. If they did not escape, they would have died. And we have heroes here and there who actually help these people. Especially there was one lady, we call her the Ring Lady, where she actually fed the prisoner of war secretly, yeah, while they were doing the death march. So there are some of them who were really fantastic. Yeah, we have local little heroes like that. So they died. So all in, how many of them died? They were in the war. There were about 2,428 who died. Yeah, the prisoner of war, they died during that the Second World War. And of those, 1,700 over of them, they were Australian. Yeah, so that was the reason why the Return League, yeah, the Liberation Army, the Return League, they set up this bronze plaque to remember these who died. Now, when they came here to liberate us, that's where I come to say there's a hero is worth mentioning. His name was Tom Starvish. Tom Starvish because he was one of those privates. He was in Labuan, on the little island on the west coast that's in Labuan, because that's where the Liberation Army landed there, and then they moved over here. So when they moved over inward, they were at a place that's called Boho. Now when the army were there, they have 2 companies of the army. They were the 2 companies of soldiers. One was actually attacked by the Japanese. The Japanese retaliated, right, and attacked them. So another company was behind, right, trying to stop the Japanese. But the Japanese actually, they have a machine gun position, 2 machine gun position, shooting at all these soldiers. Right, so this Tom Sawit, he was like a real life Rambo. He himself, one person alone, right, sneak up to the machine gun holder that position and kill 5 of them. Yeah, kill 5 of them and then cause the rest of them to retreat. And in the second round again, they get in another position with 2 machine gun position as well. He also sneaked up and do his own tactics and then he killed 7 of these machine gun holders. So he was literally a real life Rambo, a real life Rambo who actually one single person handily killed all these Japanese. It was because of his heroic act. He was given the Victoria Cross, and he was the last one, yeah, the last person who was, you can say that living person who got the last person who was awarded the Victoria Cross. So that was very amazing. Now these are Australian soldiers. What about our local hero? Our local hero, I would want to say one person especially. His name was is actually Albert Gok. In Chinese we call him Guo Yinan, Albert Gok. I would really salute him. Yeah? He was very young. When he was 19, he was actually a Sarawakian. When he was 19, he came over from Sarawak. He studied Chinese medicine before in China. So when he came over to Sabah, or rather North Borneo, he came over here as a Chinese doctor. And he was doing very well, in fact, even though very young, 19 years old, you know, and then he was doing very well. Then World War II broke out. Yeah? So 1942, World War II broke out. He was very angry with what the Japanese were doing. So he with his friend actually helped him, right, to go over to Philippines, consult to see how to fight against the Japanese. So on his second trip, during his second trip, he was given the title of lieutenant by the American Army. Yeah, lieutenant. So he was with that, he was able to come back to set up his own little band of rebels. I can say, not rebel, not warriors to fight against the Japanese. So he has quite a few hundred of them actually. I can say 1,000 over of them who joined him. Yeah. So Albert Gok, so when they actually retaliate and fight against the Japanese, they came down all the way from the place that's called Kota, Kinabalu, and finally they invaded Chesterton. Yeah. All they used at the beginning, you will be surprised. They use parang. It's a kind of a long knife. Yeah. So they don't, and then what you call it, all clubs and things like that. They don't have machine gun. Yeah. Whereas the Japanese has. So again, you see, it's just like our border people who did that. So they were also doing that. But they won all the way. From Kota to Tamparawi, all the way to Chesterton. They were able to even kill 60 over of these Japanese. That's so they were doing very well and took over Chesterton as well. But something happened. Yeah. Somebody actually really betrayed these rebels. They were called actually Kinabalu guerrillas. Yeah, Kinabalu guerrillas. So somebody did betray them, and they were in fact surrounded by the Japanese. And the Japanese told them, and what the Japanese did also was, they rounded up 400 of villages. They were all the Santong villages, and they said that if you do not surrender, we are going to execute all these villages. So in order to save the people, so Albert Gok and his followers, they surrendered. So about 170 of them, they were took to a prison. Yeah, took to a prison. They call it the Mount Tree prison there. And then on the 21st of January, yeah, 21st of January, they were taken out from the prison for execution. So it was very sad because when they came out of the prison, some of them already know that they're not going to return anymore. So they refused to go. And then 3 of them were actually killed right there at the prison, shot dead. And then when they were on the train ride to go to the place that's called Patakas, when they arrived at the place where they are supposed to be executed, they even have another problem now. Some of them refused to come down from the train. They were literally like hanging onto the door of the train, and they refused to let go. They They knew that if they were to go down, they're going to die, so they wouldn't let go. You know what the Japanese did to them? They just used their sword and chop off their hand and also the finger. So it was very horrible. Then in the end, it is Albert Dock together with 5 others. They were beheaded. Yeah, they were beheaded, and then the others were actually like they were machine gun, and then they also used bayonet, yeah, to kill all the rest of them, and then thrown into the pit. That was the reason why every year now, right? Every year on the 21st of January, our government will have a Memorial Day service, yeah, wreath-bearing memorial ceremony at this Patakas War Memorial. So it is still there. It is very, very terrible, I would say, yeah, because of the war. We hope we don't have any more war. We are now at a very interesting place because right behind me, this was the exact spot of whereby the Australian Liberation Army during the Second World War, when they came to liberate us, that was the place where they set up their camp. And after the war, they also celebrated their victory right there. So that was the very simple reason why that whole lane there has a very nice name, and that is Australia Place. Until today, the name still stands. How nice, isn't it? Yeah. So now, when we talk about the Australian Liberation Army, there is one person that always comes into my mind, and that was you can say the person's name was Francis Law. Because during that time, he was still a young boy, and he was running errands for the Australian Army. He was running errands for them, and I understand that he was also a very good climber of coconut trees. Can you imagine that? Yeah, coconut trees. Now, because he was so, you can say he was so hardworking. Yeah, the Australian Liberation Army forces, when they retreated, they raised up funds to send him to Perth, Australia, to further study, yeah, to further his study. So on returning back, he was a reporter. He also trained in what you call teach in education school, in Chinese school, and he was also an insurance agent. And in the end, he was a very successful businessman. Now, what he did was, during that time when he got money, he's not a selfish person at all, right? He wanted to do something to contribute to the society, to the people here. So what he did was he was looking at a spot of whereby the Australian Army were also, you know, there was one of their posts as well that was at a place that is now called Simpulan. So what he did was that he got the help of the Australian Return League and Services. So they helped him with some funds, because he was looking at calculating the cost of around 200,000 that he need to do something. So the Australian Army Return League, they actually contributed half of the amount, which was 100,000, and the rest of the amount of money comes out from Francis Law's own pocket and by raising funds as well. So what did he do was that he bought over 5 acres of land over there at Simpulan, and he built a school there. So until today, that school is called SANSAC, which is Sabah Australian New Zealand Army Corps. And with that, I wanted to say thank you very much, and thank you for coming on my online guided tour. Hope to see you again. Bye.